What is the mission of CroAI?
So basically, we want to show to the society what will happen in the next 10 years, and we want to move them forward to that next year. How we started, so what was the mission of our founders, is that AI is the next big thing. And we had the huge thing with the internet 30 years ago, and we had that feeling that Europe was sitting aside and looking how the world is changing, but we weren't a part of that play, we weren't a part of that game, we were just watching. And with AI, again, we have a new opportunity. And instead of just watching and sitting aside, let's be a part of that opportunity, let's be key players in that opportunity. And the only way how you can actually achieve that is to create awareness, to educate people about that new technology. What kind of possibilities with education, future jobs, what kind of company you can found now that can be relevant in the next 10 years. So we basically just want to create awareness, we want to educate the public, and we want to push the society forward to new technologies, to AI and so on. So it's basically, now we're talking about AI, in the next 10 years we will be talking about the next technology, and we believe that CroAI still has to be relevant in that field because it's not about AI, it's about technology, it's about new opportunities.
Hello Recursive community. Today's podcast is being shot from InfoBips Hub here in Zagreb. So big thank you to our hosts, and also let me warn you that in 20 to 40 minutes the match between Croatia and Albania will start, and the whole InfoBips team are going to watch it together, so please don't be scared if there are some noises and excitement here around us. In any case, I myself am very excited to be here with Martina Silov, president of CroAI, the Croatian Artificial Intelligence Association, and head of partnerships at Mindsmiths. Her journey into the tech world began unexpectedly when she joined CroAI as an intern 3 years ago. Martina is an advocate for tech optimism, focusing on integrating technology into education and fostering a strong AI community. Her work includes organizing AI Weekend Festival and initiatives like the Heroes Project, which aims to inspire and educate the next generation of innovators. I'm a bit sorry that we're a bit late, that we missed the big party that was last week, and I will congratulate you because we've heard that you did a great job organizing this one as well. On top of everything, I think you're like the youngest person to be here on our podcast. So congratulations for your success so far. Martina, welcome to the Recursive podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It is a pleasure also to have, as you mentioned, a girl here today. It was heavily dominated. But before we start, tell me about how did you decide to join CroAI in the beginning? And you're now the president, only after 3 years.
Okay. So it wasn't planned. So basically at my third year of faculty, I was running one student association. It's called ISEC, and it's one of the biggest actually student associations, and I was running the Zagreb office. And we were creating some kind of conference about AI, and the main focus of the conference was, let's teach people, no matter what you do, are you a doctor or a lawyer, or you're studying economics or business or engineering, AI will affect your life, and technology in general will affect your life. And during that conference, we were cooperating with CroAI. CroAI was like a year old at that time.
I was just about to ask you, so actually, you know, your
beginning.
Career is not much older than the existence of CroAI.
Something like that. So, and then the general secretary asked me to join CroAI after the conference, and I was like, dude, I'm studying economics and business. I want to do consulting in future. This is not the sector I want to create my career. Come on, just join, see what happens in a couple of months, and we will see. And then summer started, and I had to work, and I'm originally from Dalmatia, and I imagine my summer like on the beach and sun. But I was actually, that was actually my start at CroAI. And my first job was like doing the first market analysis of AI market in Croatia. So we were doing landscape before that, but the point of this analysis was, okay, how much money is there? Is there any women? What the collaboration between academia and business, and so on. So that was the first analysis, and I was constantly thinking, no, I will just be here for the summer and that's it. But then doing that analysis, to be honest, I really fell in love with the ecosystem. For the first time, when you grow up in Croatia, you're always, there are so many better places to live, to work, and so on. And then you find out that one country that has 3.8 million people created stories like Infobip, like Rimac Cars, like Microblink, like Photomat, Reversing Labs, Fonoa. There are so many startups, there are so many cool people, there are so many people in academia, in different institutions, no matter like technology, like in marketing, in creative industry, that are doing amazing things, and they have like worldwide the rewards for that. And I was like thinking, whoa, this is totally different Croatia. I love this Croatia, I love this attitude, and plus you're living in a beautiful country. And I was thinking maybe we should be focusing on spreading that culture. Maybe we should be focusing on building that community. And somehow I just stayed. And I think now that the secretary and ex-president noticed, okay, maybe she's capable of running things here. And they were just stepping back and I was stepping in. And then I was a project manager, event management. I started to find a European project because I was first employee. At the time I came to CroAI, we had like 100 members. We were living from memberships that were really, really low. I was a student intern. And after 3 years, we created an association that has more than 450 members. We have 7 European projects. We have one of the biggest connections and partners across the Europe and in Croatia. We have a couple of thousands of people in community. We have 4 to 5 full-time employees. And so it really became, our first mission was, okay, how can we professionalize this? Like, how can we create an association that is sustainable, that won't be based just on enthusiasm and a couple of volunteers? How can we create an association that will be sustainable for the next couple of years or generations? So, and that was my focus. And after some time, I became like GM, like general manager, and I was doing that in 2023. And after that, when we, out of chaos, when we created really nice order and we had people, we had projects, we had budgets, everything was settled, I decided, okay, now I think it's my time to go. But I was extremely, to be honest, connected to that association, and I'm still a really huge part of my time is wasted in, like, spent in CroAI. And I decided to run for president. I wasn't, to be honest, sure, because I'm not an AI engineer, I'm not a scientist, and I know that some people will think, oh, but what are you doing in that field? But then I found out, like, CroAI is so much more than just engineers and science. We have people from art world, lawyers, doctors, big corporations, small startups. And all together, we are working on creating the best product, because if we are not connected, we can't do the best things. And CroAI, it's about community and it's about education. So it doesn't have to be run by an engineer.
Do you manage also successfully to engage with policymakers, political decision makers?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we really believe that's one of the main stakeholders. In Europe in general, I would say what I noticed that everybody has their own bubble. So Recursive is doing an amazing job connecting journalism with business and with startup world. But usually you have journalists, you have business people, you have startup scene, you have investors, you have academia, you have policymakers. Everybody has their own bubble and nobody's connected. What we are trying to do on our parties, on our meetups, on our micro communities, you can see people from different sectors, because we believe if we educate them all and if we connect them all, they can create value. Because imagine in the world, for example, you're creating product, an AI product. you have great engineers, but if you don't have great product people, which are sociologists, psychologists, and so on, you wouldn't be able to create the best AI product. After that, if you don't have the good salespeople, business people, you won't be able to get to the market. After that, when you get to the market, if you don't have policymakers who understand the technology that you're creating, you won't be able to get on the market. So you need every single stakeholder to be in the same game, so that game can be functional, or that you can actually play the game. And that was the motto since early beginning. We want everyone here so they can interact, so they can communicate, so they can. You have, for example, CroAI started something that is called European AI Forum, and it's like umbrella association of all AI associations in Europe. And the idea was,
how many are there?
There's 9 countries.
9 countries
CroAI,
have their own associations. Okay.
9 countries in European AI Forum. Probably there are more AI associations.
Okay.
But what we wanted to accomplish is that you have policymakers. Often they maybe are not familiar with technology, but they know a lot about law, about people, about policy, about ethics. And on the other hand, you have so many good startups, startup founders, IT professionals, and so on. They know a lot about technology, but maybe they're not familiar with law or policy or ethics or so on. So we wanted to create a culture of dialogue and remove that huge gap that's between them and create a platform for them to communicate. And what we called it European AI Forum. We held every 6 months, we have an event. It's online. You have the highest policymakers from Europe. And on the other hand, you have startup founders, unicorn founders, experts from IT, and so on. And you create that synergy. When one side says, okay, we have a huge problem, we don't understand the technology. Can that technology, I don't know, hurt people? And then the tech people say, no, it's it can be explainable. They can actually explain everything to you, and so on. And you create that culture of dialogue, and that's something that we wanted to create with CroAI.
I think in today's world, especially where we are more and more confined in our own bubbles, based on how communication flows and where do we spend most of our time, and so on and so forth. Those of us who are going to be able to connect the different bubbles and are going to be able to translate between them are going to increase their value.
Absolutely.
And I see, an association like CroAI doing a great job here. You are also a wonderful partner when we created, the first AI report for Central and Eastern Europe, where we tried, to map which are the innovations coming from the startup world at this point, like 2024, so that we understand the trends and what would also they need in the future. Now, you mentioned beforehand that you're an optimist when it comes to tech.
Yeah.
And I think especially in a controversial topic like AI, and it's getting more and more controversial, it's harder to take sides. For me, for instance, it's a challenging thing to say I'm an optimist or I'm a pessimist. The more informed you get of how things are happening, the more you look also into the past of how, such big scale disruptions affected society and the way that we function. It's hard for me to remain totally optimistic, although I'm in the tech sector, although I am, also a firm believer that AI brings a lot of potential, especially for emerging ecosystems like those in Central and Eastern Europe, where you can much easier leapfrog to the next technology. Now, can you explain to me your personal tech optimism and how does this relate about your optimism for Croatia? Like, where is Croatia's place on the global AI map, let's say, or map of AI innovations?
Okay. In general, I'm a really optimistic person, so I have that drive, and I know a lot of people think calling yourself tech optimist, it's a bit cringe, and it's a bit cringe. But, I don't think people you know, you're now in Zagreb, and you have a beautiful museum in the center of Zagreb. It's called Museum of Nikola Tesla, actually Tehnički muzej. When you come there and when you see how it looked like at the beginning, you're like, oh my God, this is so scary. And you use electricity daily. And it's so scary, like, can it hurt me? What's going on? I think it's the same with every technology. When you have a new thing which is not quite familiar, people are scared, people have doubts, and it's a normal, I think, first reaction to it. But when you educate the people and when you actually find out what are capabilities of that new technology, I think people usually feel much more calm. I definitely think that a huge role will a regulation will have, of course, and people educating themselves about the technology, and that people will always be that, okay, now it's enough, now it's okay, and how can we help our lives with this new technology? When I think about what AI can do for us in our lives, I think it can create a huge value when it comes to medicine, when it comes to pharma, when it comes to finance, when it comes to hospitality. When we see how an efficient life now is, and companies and so on, and how much technology can actually help, I see a miracle, because all of us can be really, I would say, more useful, or I can use my day on other things, not just doing some manual or stupid work. And I would like to do that. So when I think about technology, I'm thinking about what kind of problems and what kind of stupid jobs it can take from me and just do them, instead of me thinking about them. So that on that kind of level, I'm an optimist. I'm absolutely aware that you have, with every single technology, we have lots of problems with internet. You can do all sorts of things on internet. You can do all sorts of things on social media. And I think you will be able to do all sorts of things with AI. But eventually it's up to us. It's never about technology. It's up to us how we use it.
Well, we don't have really a great track record of how we use technology, especially, such big innovations.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily use them always for the greater good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we use them for also a lot of good things. And I think as humanity, I strongly believe and hope that we learned our lessons. And still, with the first regulation in EU, I think a lot of majority of the world will follow. As CroAI, we were always in between, because we really believe this is an early stage. We don't want to stop actually the startups to innovate, to create new things, so you always have to balance it. But regarding Croatian ecosystem, I think Croatia already proved that has a lot of great projects, privately and publicly. Like privately, the story behind Photomat, I think it's one of the best stories that Europe even written, because you had an AI startup that started 8 years ago, way before ChatGPT and all the hype regarding the AI, and that was sold to Google later and so on. I think that's a great story. You have stories like Microblink that are amazing. You have a lot of smaller startups, mine's it's one of them, and so on, who are developing AI for quite some time already. I believe that Infobip and Rimac are already having really, really cool projects regarding AI. Also in the private sector, in the public sector, you have institutions who are implementing AI in education right now. You have institutions which are implementing AI in healthcare. So already there, I can say we can see a lot of improvement and a lot of good projects, and that Croatia shouldn't be scared. Of course, there's a lot of space to improve, but I think we have a nice track record for now. And I think Europe is doing good. We have a huge debate, and I'm always like, we should be more open. We should be more open to innovation. We should support companies who are doing some great things. We should be more entrepreneurial. And when you see now, you have the same situation you had with internet. All the big companies and all the next generation of big tech companies are coming from US. Europe should have a say in it, you know. But on the other hand, maybe we don't have that attitude, you know. We don't have that entrepreneurial mindset that is necessary, but we have great researchers, we have great institutions. I think I saw a number that Europe has the highest number of AI PhDs, for example. That's a great, but what I would like that.
But do they stay in Europe?
That's a good question. My theory is that they don't. Some people say that they stay, that they are still on the institutions and doing academia work. But I assume what will happen, that a similar situation what happened with the big tech companies 30 years ago. You had great actually experts in Europe that just went to US or Silicon Valley and do the same things just for big tech companies. So we will see. But I think Europe should be a bit braver, and that from here you can create actually great startups and great unicorns and great tech stories. I'm not saying that every company has to be a unicorn. I'm saying that we should be a bit braver.
Do you think that part of the reasons why we are lagging behind is our attitude to, I don't know, suffocate innovations through regulations? What is your take on the recent AI Act?
It's complicated. I definitely think that has a huge impact. And we talked a lot in CroAI about it. You know, we were quite vocal at the beginning. We gave our comments in the early stage of AI Act that we should be, that AI Act should be enabler for startups to innovate, to practice, to not stop the innovation and so on. And our opinion was always, look, it can be dangerous. It can be, we will see what happens eventually. But in the recent time, I'm more focused on our mentality, because AI Act is out. There's nothing we can do about it, you know. We will eventually just read it and try to do exactly what AI Act is saying to do. But what I think we have to be more focused is on our mentality, because I think mentality has a way bigger role than the regulation.
But what was the position actually of CroAI in terms of the AI Act?
Our position was like, we were quite vocal regarding sandboxes. Those are practically places where you can test your algorithms freely before you put them outside. So we were quite vocal, like, we understand the regulation, we understand the need of European Commission to do it, and we know that we're really familiar, actually famous for being quite vocal regarding regulation, no matter what's the field and what's the industry. And we understand that's the culture of Europe. It's okay. But please don't, you can't put in the same basket the huge corporations who have the money, who have the lobbyists, who have the lawyers, and startups. Because if one startup is going to spend half of his investment on hiring lawyers and reading the AI Act, is going to be super complicated. So the only fear that we have is that it's going to stop the innovation and it's going to force startups to move to US. And we were quite vocal regarding that.
Do you see that already happening maybe with Croatian companies here?
I see a lot of companies that are moving their headquarters to US. Our partners from other countries also noticed a couple of similar things. So we will see. Okay. I hope it won't happen in that scale, but I think it's definitely going to be a bit of a problem. Some people will stay, some startups will stay, and they will create AI products that are aligned with the AI Act, and it's going to be maybe easier to get to the EU market and so on. Maybe their focus will be the EU market. Some of them will just start in the US, and at the time they have to enter EU market, they will be big enough to have the money, to pay lawyers and everything necessary to adapt that AI product to the market, EU market.
You're also a passionate supporter of women in technology.
Okay.
You know, at the same time, I'm thinking that, at least reports say that the effects of AI and automation are going to affect more women than men, because of the specifics of their work. I think all around the world we would have much more women in white-collar jobs, and also women who are doing kind of like repetitive work, manual work. What would be your advice for women who would like to reskill or maybe upskill so that they're part of the AI industry, just like you yourself?
I don't think I'm not like really vocal, or I in general I never identify like I'm a girl or I'm a woman or he's a boy or he's a man. I have lovely colleagues from both sides, and I think I think men are just a bit braver than girls are, and they're ready to risk more. It's in their in their system, I would say.
I really fight against this kind of like an assumption, but okay,
I understand you. I understand you, but
I don't think it's brave. I don't think that men are braver.
Maybe they are.
I don't know. Thinking about motherhood, I think you should be actually very brave to engage in the whole process in the first place.
I agree with that.
At the same time, build a career and
I think we like to, because when you're entering, for example, tech world or startup world, you're not quite sure what to expect. And from biology, we have to protect ourselves, So I don't think we are that eager to enter startup world because you have no idea what's going to happen. So maybe just that, but still I think that's not the rule. It's not general, it's not for everyone. For example, I entered CroAI. It was basically a startup when I entered. I had great mentors, I had great colleagues, I had great friends who helped me build that association. I had a great board, great president, and we managed to build it. Again, after CroAI, I choose another startup because that's my drive. I love that. But to enter this field, I would advise just be good in what you're doing, because I don't believe that it's going to be just about, when people think about AI, they're just thinking about engineering and engineers and really tech people. But I believe that what you said at the beginning, and it was beautifully said, people who will be able to translate between those two different worlds are going to be, I would say, the most paid people. Because I believe that women are in the policy, in the lobbying, in marketing, in HR and finance, and so on. All these people are quite necessary for the AI startup and the tech world. And I think the only thing that's different, that they have to maybe learn new skills or new tools and how to be faster and how to be competitive, and that's it. But I don't believe in the world that we are all the same and we are all engineers and writing. No, I believe in the world how can my expertise in certain domain help these guys to build a better product? How can we create AI that is more secure? How can we create AI that helps? I think that's the female energy, and we need it, and that's beautiful. So
I sometimes wonder, it's always like a chicken egg kind of problematic. What is the role of role models and mentors? You have great experience with the Heroes project. Maybe you can share a bit more about that. And I think engaging with young people and also setting up the right role models for them and inspiring them with the right success stories can have a great influence on their path. I think
I absolutely agree.
Every time when I talk to someone who is at school or is a student, I feel this great sense of responsibility that whatever I say, and I might not consider it even in the moment, it could be at a later point, but it could be formative for them. So I'm always like, okay, what do I say? Is it smart to put it like this? Maybe I should use different words, because it's for the first time in my life I'm sometimes even approached by girls who consider me some kind of like an inspiration for them, and they approach me with this excitement and with this awe, and I'm like, okay, I need to start thinking, how do I behave like a role model now? Because it is responsibility. So what is your experience with the Heroes project? You had how many students?
But in general, just quick digression, I really believe in mentors. I think that's I think the reason why I came like as an intern and in 3 years I became a president is because of my mentors. I think the key of success are mentors, because if you have the right people, I have so many mentors. I have so many people who can I call daily, like in the middle of the night, in the middle of the day, can you help me with this? Because if you have a person who has 30 years of experience, it doesn't have to be in tech, because you're basically working with people. You're working with people in like every field, in any field. And when I talk to them, okay, I have this situation, what's your experience? Can you give me good advice? I have this situation, can you give me this advice? And it was so helpful, and it saved me a lot of, I would say, energy, time. Of course you have to do the mistakes, you have to feel the pain, but I believe that mentors are one of the key elements of the success. And I think it's wrong in our mentality, and I would say it's really strong, that it's really hard to ask for help and for advice. It's like, oh, does it make me weak? And I really believe in that. I really believe that people are here to help you, and I believe that the ecosystem will grow much faster and much better if we help each other. And so that's the reason why in CroAI we have micro communities. We have it for ML, we have it for DevOps, for product, for marketing, because we believe if you manage to get a lot of people from the same field, in this case, to share their knowledge and good case practice and bad case practice, you will create great value, because you will move forward. Look, I made this mistake 3 years ago. Come on, please don't go in that direction. You move forward. You skip a few steps, and it's much easier because everybody's speaking the same language. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And regarding the hero stories, when we started the project, the idea was like, Croatia has so many good hero stories. It's not just like startup founders.
How do you define a hero?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you?
Okay.
Like when a person enjoys the job, when he's doing something that he really likes, and when he has a nice track record, when he has a nice, like, oh, I did this, or I did that, or I got this award. You know, I'm managing 10 people. That's beautiful. When you have that energy, I'm changing something. I'm optimistic about something. I'm creating something. That's about, it's not here about like, oh, I'm running a company that has 3,000 employees. People in that company are also heroes. So the idea was like, let's share all of these hero stories that we created in Croatia, like Infobip, Microblink, Rimac Cars, and so on, but also like people who are lawyers and they're implementing AI and technology. How is technology changing their life? Or doctors who are using AI to heal people or to treat people. That's a great story, because people in med school are not even aware of that. Also, art. We have one of our board members is an art manager, and she's connecting. She's one of the few females in Croatia who is connecting like art and technology. It's a great story for that kind of high school, you know, which is more focused on art than on other subjects. And I think that's great. And when we were like starting the project, we were like, oh my God, how the kids will react. This is a new generation, they're a bit different and so on. And we started the project at 2023, I think it was like beginning of the year. And the first feedback was, this is the best thing ever, you changed my life. And we're like, but this is like 45 minutes lecture. No, I can see, it's so cool. Can I work with you? Can I help you? Can I be like your mentee? Can I be, I don't know, your volunteer? And we're like, what's going on? And then we continued and we brought all of these crazy people, we like to call them like crazy, innovative, creative people to high schools. Mostly high schools. We were in a couple of elementary schools, and we reached to, I think, 3 or 4,000 students, and it was really beautiful. It was just one lecture, and the point was like, okay, now the mentors will connect to high school. Maybe they can create a project together, and we will leave them. We can come again with a new mentor, with a new hero. But the point, and why we call that a project hero, it's not about the mentor, just it's about the school, which is also a hero. It's about children who are also heroes here, because they listen, they wanted to learn new things, they wanted to find out new things. So it's going really, really nice, and this is the first project in Europe that was like able to get community to self-organize itself and bring some new value to the future community. So it's I love that project. I really love it, and so many people, mentors feel awesome, kids feel awesome, students and professors are like, this is such a wonderful thing, because they always feel like we are a bit left behind. We are not a part of that scene. We are not a part of that bubble. Can we be a part of that bubble? And we're like, yeah, of course. We are here to help you, because CroAI is the platform in which you can connect to everyone almost. So
It's interesting that this kind of stories can be a reason for many of those kids, in my opinion, to, I don't know, develop their career or their startup or their venture in Croatia.
Exactly.
We had a similar experience with our journalistic academy. At some point we had like the Recursive Academy, and it was founded during the pandemic, so we had a lot of youngsters who would do a gap year between their studies, or they would just, return, or I don't know, study online. In any case, we had many which were actually studying abroad, and I would imagine that most of them would have continued their careers outside of Bulgaria. But because they got acquainted with the startup bubble and the tech ecosystem, and they found this bit of different mindset, and they found out that there is such a vibe, and there is, this optimism and enthusiasm, how we are going to create this internationally, globally success stories from a little country somewhere on the Balkans, that they decided to stay. They wanted to be part of it. They found their own spot. So I'm thinking that partially our job, and when I say ours, I mean yours and also mine, would be to kind of, make this bubble blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree.
So that we can infect more and more people with this kind of mindset. I really hope that this problem solving, this optimistic and entrepreneurial spirit can be soon part of our culture as nations, and we have definitely some things to catch up here.
What was our starting mission? Let's create a new generation of creators, not just workers. Because every time you go anywhere in the world, and in Europe, it's like, oh, I know that Croat, he's the best worker, and you have people like main engineers in BMW, AWS, Google, Meta, and all sorts of companies, and you always have Croatians there, and they're like the best, and you're like, why are we constantly good workers? And then you come here and you see those same creators who are creating their companies. And I'm not saying that everybody has to create their own company. I absolutely agree, but that you have to have employees and everything. But just to give that spark, like you can do you can create something valuable if you put a lot of hard work, if you have the potential to do it. And that was and giving them examples from different industries. These are all great people who are doing really interesting careers, and they're implementing and using technology in really different ways. So that was
You mentioned the keyword, and I think that's the creators. And I would like to bring it also in the context of AI. I was recently on a panel discussion, and one of the questions that I got was, okay, when AI and the AI algorithms complete their job and they take the menial work from out of our life and they do everything that we used to do, then how would we fill out our days? What are humans going to do in the meantime?
I don't believe that's going to happen. Like every time in the history, you have this, I would say, the same algorithm. You have that new technology who is replacing a certain job, and then those same people are having some new jobs, and they didn't even know that those jobs are existing before technology took over, and then they were doing something else. So I really don't believe that the future will look like, AI will take control of everything, because when you enter
I'm not saying about control. I didn't say control. I just said menial work. So repetitive work, also the jobs that you said you also yourself wouldn't want to do. So when we get to this final stage.
What is the final stage?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't believe in that.
Okay.
I just don't believe in that. I don't believe in the world where AI will take care of everything for myself.
Then what is the world that you believe in?
Like, I believe that I don't need to answer every stupid email that I get daily. That I won't need to do every Excel sheet by myself. I believe in the day that somebody...
But if you don't do these things, then what would you do instead?
Other things, creative things.
What are the other things?
Creating new projects. Creating new projects, creating new products, running new people, running new organizations, running new companies. Those are the things that I'm really looking forward to it. Like, I don't want to, in maintenance we often say I don't want to pay for my haircut. I want to pay for someone to take care of my haircut. What does that mean? It's like, I don't have the time or the energy, because I don't think people are aware how overwhelmed we are in this century. Like, you have to be a good friend, you have to be a good family member, you have to take care of your health, how you dress, how you look, how your nails look like, are you healthy, how your finance look like, and so on. You have thousands of tasks daily you have to do. I think in human history we never had such a pressure, ever. And I want part of this pressure and part of this task just transfer to something else, to AI, to technology, anyone, anything. And I don't have the time, because it's killing me and it's too much of everything.
Is it the tasks or is it the decisions that you need to make?
And I think are the tasks. So I have to have my haircut. I have to decide like what I'm going to wear today. I have to decide where I'm going to invest. I have to decide in which clinic I'm going to have a yearly checkout. I have to do all those things, and I want someone to do that instead of me. And for example, haircut. I want someone, okay, Martina, you're usually having your haircut done every, 3 months, and you have been traveling for the last 3 months. Next week you're in Croatia, you will be in Croatia for a week, and then again you're traveling. I will check out the guy, my hairdresser his name is Martin. Okay, I will check with Martin if he has any free slots available next week. Great, he is available on Monday. Great, you're available on Monday, I will book your slot. I want someone to take care of that.
Martin is going to probably have his own bot.
Yeah.
So your bot is going to talk to his.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I really want part of that burden to be switched to someone else, because I don't have the capacity. So that's how I see technology, to take some of those tasks from me and take care of that, because we were never, I strongly believe that we were never this overwhelmed with everything.
I asked you on purpose if it's about the tasks or is it about the decisions. I myself feel quite often a decision fatigue. Yeah, it's less so about doing things, and sometimes actually just the doing things is something that calms me down. But it is the decisions that I need to make. And if we want AI to take decisions for us, I'm asking myself, where is the healthy boundary? Yeah, what do we want to outsource and what do we want to keep for ourselves.
Do you think that already you're not influenced by everything to take decisions? Like what? Ignore technology, like. All of your decisions are also they have been influenced by your society, parents, friends.
Definitely they are influenced. That's not the point. But I still need to make them. I still need
But
to.
yeah,
make,
are you making them?
That's a philosophical question.
Yeah,
is there
same
free,
as the
is there
previous
free
one,
will
yeah.
or there is no free will? To be honest, I'm those who believe that there is free will. Yes.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking is like, I think it's quite similar. That's the reason why I'm telling you. Like, how we make decisions is based on a huge influence from how we were raised, who are our parents, brothers and sisters, school we went, kindergarten that we went, and so on. So it's a similar, absolutely philosophical question. I don't want to go in that way, but I think it's same with technology. It's always quite similar. I'm not sure that we are always responsible for our own decisions. So that's
we are always responsible for
responsible.
them.
Yeah, but
we're always responsible
but
for our
I'm not
decisions.
sure that we are making
I
all
don't
the
think
decisions.
that we can actually make the excuse just because we have been influenced or triggered in a certain situations that we shouldn't take responsibility for our decisions.
No, we always take responsibility. It's
so
not
that's
something.
not the point. And I think in this sense we differ a bit from AI. The way that AI is going to make decisions is going to be based on, let's say, a normal distribution, yeah? Whereas humans can sometimes make decisions which are not necessarily based on statistical data, yeah? Which are not going to be adopted by, let's say, the wider part of our community. We can at some point say, despite everything, that Picasso is a great artist. Something that was, or he was an outlier in everything that he was doing before that. And we as humans are able to make this kind of like decisions. Whereas AI probably is going to be taught based on what the majority would think, the majority would like,
But the same goes for the society so far. So
I don't think so. This is why we have actually, subcultures, we have underground currents, we have trendsetters. I don't think that an AI algorithm can set actually a trend. Yeah. It's going to be probably follow a trend.
Probably, I'm not so sure. I think a lot of people who created a huge impact on history, no matter is it art, science, society, politics, were not accepted by the majority.
Nikola Tesla is a great example.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, if we leave it to AI to decide if his contributions were influential or not, or they should be actually wide adopted, probably just like society
he was also,
back then.
also by the society, he wasn't accepted. So
that's my point.
Yeah.
And probably if we leave it to AI, it won't accept it anyway, because
AI won't say, "Oh, you have to, I don't know, kill him" or something like that. So you still have.
I didn't say that.
But like I said, like, how do you think that AI will make decision? What kind of impact will it have? So are we going to test each person like, "Oh, you're a good scientist based on AI"? I don't think so. So it's still going to be based on humans.
See all sorts of decisions and all sorts of algorithms. I'm going to give you an example. A company that is looking for the best talent in the world, or the best, PhD researchers in the world, based on LinkedIn data. So they would have probably different markers that we would be looking for, and it will be based on a model.
Okay, but you still have.
And you can still actually pretty much. I think you can probably build it based on an AI algorithm.
Absolutely. But I think still that you will have interviews and you will have that possibility to.
Would we? That's the question.
Yeah,
how far do we want to go?
I never say that we wouldn't have the possibility to do the interviews and to have that human in the loop.
That wasn't my point in the beginning, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, we can cut it out.
Yeah.
My point was that it's only humans who can spot the outliers who are going to have influence, let's say, on an industry, on a trend, we can pick something which is outside of the scope of the normal distribution, and which would not be recognizable for an algorithm, and still put it at the center and say, this is something that needs our attention. This is something that we need to look at. This is something of value. This is something that has quality. And AI won't be able to do that because AI is trained on what is valid for a majority.
Yeah, but
that's my point.
Yeah, but that sounds like an AI world. So that's what I'm saying. I don't believe in that. That the future is going to look like that. I think we will constantly have that human in the loop. That people will have the opportunity to see, like, okay, these are people who won't be recognized by algorithm, even though the society often in the history even didn't recognize that. And many people we have no idea that they existed exactly because the society never
Why
approved
do you
them.
believe that we will always have a human in the loop? And what do you mean always? In what processes and in what are we going to decide that we should have a human in the loop and where we shouldn't?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the questions that we will answer in the next decade. I absolutely agree with you. Like, we will always have, but you have those same questions even before AI. That's what I'm saying. Like, we will have problems like these with every new technology, and humankind is always, I really believe that, doing its best to answer them in the best possible way for the humanity. So I can completely understand your point, and it's the biggest concern of society right now. But I really believe in that good and ethics, that we will find a solution, that we won't come to that scenario, that we will have people who will say, okay, AI is technology or a tool, I like to call it a tool, that will help us find the best candidate, but he won't make the decision. He won't be the only one who will choose our candidates.
Why do you believe that? What is the reason that gives you this argument? Do we have the track record for that? Did we put always like the smartest people in the important decision-making roles?
Yeah, but that was before technology.
What about human error?
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
in the times of technology.
Absolutely agree. I absolutely, but I
then why do you believe that there's
but I don't think it's a matter of technology. I still believe that's a matter of humans.
As long as we make informed decisions on how are we going to regulate technology, how are we going to deal with this technology, in whose hands we're going to put the most powerful tools. And for me, all these questions are at least at this point unanswered. And I'm not quite sure that those who are going to make the decisions and give us the answers to those questions really know what AI is about. Yeah.
Fair enough, but then the question is, how can we educate them, and how can we create the culture of dialogue? That, to me, that's the point. How can we react on time to see how can we prevent something like that? And that's something that CroAI is doing. That's something that we want to accomplish. Like, how can we create that culture of dialogue that these people who are making decisions are familiar with what they're doing and what the technology is about?
Do you think that we still have time? Are we on time? Yeah.
I believe it, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think a lot of the innovations that we are speaking about are coming to be developed in the academic domain. And in this sense, where is Croatia, maybe? Where is Central and Eastern Europe? Where do you see the potential of research contributing to the next wave of AI innovations?
Good question. So, to be honest, I don't have the data, so that I don't like to speak without data regarding, because you need numbers for that. I know that Europe in general is doing quite good with the AI research, and like we mentioned, the PhDs and everything. But I think we're behind the business sector. So, but what I believe that business sector and academia have to work better together. So in Croatia, you have great examples like FER, Faculty of Electrotechnics and Engineering. You have great examples with institutions, and they're doing really great job. But I don't think that just them doing research and doing academia would have huge impact if they do connect with business. So I think, and I think Croatia was quite active regarding that, how to merge, how to connect these two different worlds. How can we together create new value on the market?
How do you do that at CroAI?
We usually we have a lot of projects with both institutions, and on those projects you have institutions and you have commercial companies in general. So on the projects you create some new invention or products and so on. So you have the possibility and opportunity to work together.
Okay. Because I don't think that you want to miss the game.
Why?
I heard that football is like a religion here in Croatia.
Okay.
And because it just started, I only have one final question before we kind of like have to finish the conversation. Is there a societal problem, like a big one, that you want to see solved by a Croatian AI company?
Oh. I believe that AI can really help in health, that we're not even aware how our life can get so much better. But I know the health is really complicated, and it's highly regulated, of course. So I know a lot of startups won't get in that field because of regulation, because of all the obstacles and so on. But I think the efficiency in general, I would say that AI can help for all of us to be more efficient, because we can see, I wasn't even aware, but when you start to work with corporations, with big companies, you see so many inefficiencies. And with technology, you can solve a lot of things. So, and relationship, like how we brand things, how we communicate with our clients, how we create a relationship with those same clients. I think something like that can be really interesting for AI and with the AI to solve.
Are there a couple of companies that you are especially tracking?
Following? Okay, of course. I work in Mindsmith, so definitely I'm betting on them. But I really like the story of Microblink. Of course, InfoBip are already grown up, so that's another story. But I think Microblink has a huge potential, and they're already big. But I think they can create really good values. And Cantapi is a great story. Microblink Earth is a great story. STEMI has a really nice story behind them. So there are really a lot of Croatian companies that I can talk about. But we will see what will happen in the next couple of years, because I know the hype and the bubble and the biases and the story about what AI will replace, won't replace, how can it help, how can it not. But we will see what will actually happen, and what kind of influence it will have on our lives and on startups.
Of course. Thank you, Martina. Thank you for being here on the podcast.
It was a pleasure.
I wish you a great career ahead of you. I'm curious where it is going to lead you. You're, I believe, a great talent that we want to keep in our bubble. And I hope that with your help we will be able also to spread it to even others who are young as you, who are ambitious as you, and who I hope will decide to stay at least in our region in Central and Eastern Europe, so that we finally reverse, this brain drain that has been happening to our region for so many years.
I agree with you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you, Martina.
And if you are just as passionate about innovation as we are, hit subscribe for the Recursive podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. We're everywhere.